Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to the FPL show with myself, Pete Selby, and we have Matt. Matt, you are our FPL experts on For Fox's Sake, by the way. No pressure there at all, no pressure. Now, we're both on the back of Leicester's fantastic victory, but of course, that's nothing to do with FPL. On For Fox's Sake, we have the preview show. We've got the big show with Pete Selby. We've got the champion show as well, talking all things when Leicester won the league 10 years on. But we also have the FPL show. This is talking Fantasy Premier League here, something that Leicester players will be involved in next season, fingers crossed. But we're talking about FPL, okay? So if you are new out there to Fantasy Premier League, to the FPL game, this is a great podcast for you. We're going to be doing the podcast hopefully weekly, maybe every other week, and that to check in on the league. But for this show, what we want to do is we want to try and get people who play FPL and are not part of the For Fox's Sake Podcast League to join. And for those who have never played before, we've got to entice them, Matt. We've got to try and get them and grab them and go, right, this is the league for you. This is the season for you. You could be 80 years old. You could be 42 like me and talking about fancy football on a podcast. Or you could be maybe the first time listening to For Fox's Sake. Whatever the case is, we're talking all things FPL. Now, for those out there who are watching, because we are now on YouTube, first of all, subscribe to YouTube. It's brand new for us here, For Fox's Sake. We've been doing the podcast for now 12 years, audio only, and now you can see me in all my glory. I'm wearing an England cricket top. I don't quite know why, but you've got the Leicester shirt on. That's great. But we're now on YouTube, so we've got loads and loads of listeners from over the years. Fantastic. We love you all. But now what we want you to do is go over to YouTube and click on subscribe on For Fox's Sake, and you see all the shows appear there. Preview, the big show with Pete Selby, and then also FPL show, and then 10 years on, etc., etc. So there's loads and loads and loads of shows to get involved with. But go over to YouTube, type in For Fox's Sake Podcast, and then click on subscribe. It's all free. You can get all these shows for free. So make sure you click on subscribe on YouTube. Anyway, enough of that. Matt, hello.
Yes,
welcome
hello.
to the For Fox's Sake Podcast universe. Let's have 30 seconds about yourself. Who are you, Matt?
So my name's Matt. Matt Elliott, would you believe? Not that one.
I tell you, what a name, what a name.
Sorry to disappoint. Yeah. So, Leicester City fan, season ticket holder, have been since the Great Escape season, I think, 2014-15. And yeah, big FPL player as well. So, I've been playing FPL since about 2012-13, I think, something like that. Pretty ordinary average ranks that come the end of the season, except one season, which I might mention later on. But yeah, I am.
Oh yes, do.
I'm just an average player, but yeah, it was not last season, the season before. I finished 186th in the world, which was unbelievable. Yeah.
So, Matt, just stop you now. Stop you there. Sorry, 186 in the world out of how many people?
I think, it's about 10, 11 million people play it, don't they, usually? Certainly last season it was about 11 million. So, yeah, it was, I got very lucky. There was a large element of luck, and that is quite the anomaly. Normally, like I say, I'm in the top million normally, but yeah. So, if you're new to FPL, don't worry about it. There is an element of luck to it as well, and that was certainly a lot for me a couple of seasons ago. I also think it was because I didn't have any Leicester players to pick that season. It was the year we won the championship, so I didn't have that bias.
This is ridiculous. I mean, your name's Matt Elliott. You've come 186th in the world out of 11 million. I mean, I won back-to-back Pie Bull FPL show. That's my local pub. I won two years on the bounce, the FPL League, heroically on both occasions, and I've not won since. I've second, third. We're talking to a real expert now, everyone out there. You know, all of a sudden, I thought I knew about FPL, but no. Now, if you want to join the podcast league, look at that on the bottom of the screen. I click something and it happens. To join For Fox's Sake Podcast FPL League, use the code VAPIHO, all lowercase, VAPIHO. It's on screen there. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find links to the podcast league on X, on Facebook. They're going to be splashed all over the place in the next week because, of course, Matt, The first game is coming up this Friday in the Premier League. Friday, that would be the 15th, I believe, of August. So there's the code. That'll flash up every now and again when I press the button. The technology is all new. It's all new, this InVision stuff. Now, let's just take a look at what is FPL. If I was to say to you, Matt, I didn't know anything about FPL, just tell me in about 40 seconds or so, what is Fantasy Premier League? What is it?
So basically, you get points for what happens in real life Premier League games. So you pick a squad of 15 players. You can only pick 11 for each game week. So you have to bench 4 of those, but you have to pick a squad of 15. 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 attackers. So, like I say, out of that, you pick 11 players. And then, depending on how they do in real life actual games, they can score you points. And if you're watching a Premier League game or something and 2 random teams that you don't particularly have any interest on, it perhaps adds a little bit more interest if you've got some random Fulham striker who gets an assist of where otherwise you wouldn't particularly be bothered. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And like I say, you've got mini leagues like this, so bragging rights against your mates and work colleagues and things like that. So yeah, it's good fun.
It's good fun. I love that angle because I'm a professional commentator, but I come from the betting world. So it's kind of like betting, but without betting, without putting the money down.
Yeah,
You've got that. You've got that Fulham versus Crystal Palace game, and you're wanting the assist. You're wanting the goal scorer. Someone next to you might have the bet on that happening, but you've got your fancy football team. So it's again, you're picking players at the start of the season, and it's on an app and it's online, so it's easy to follow. And once you've picked your squad, you then select your team on a week-to-week basis. You can make transfers, very simple, but basically the better they do, the more points they get for scoring goals, for assists, etc. Very simple. I think most people know the concept of FPL. Now we're talking to a real expert here in Matt. This year, okay, if this part just slightly goes over your head, don't worry, but you do have bonus chips. There are a number of changes this year. So this is for the more maybe seasoned FPL player. We'll go through a few of these. First of all, we won't go into it too much detail, but the changes from last year to this year, we've got more defensive points. So if a player makes clearances, blocks, interceptions, or tackles, and they have, say, 10 or more, then they will get more points. So essentially, this is aimed towards the defensive midfielders. So your Caicedos, for example, would do very well this season compared to last season because of those interceptions. So that's one of the new sections that have come up. But that would be a prime person, really. Someone in that ilk would benefit this season from having more. Essentially, the players who midfield who don't score.
Yeah, exactly. So like you say, your Caicedos, Declan Rice, players like that who, normally have low ownership, so not many people pick them because they tend to pick goal-scoring midfielders like Mo Salah or Bruno Fernandes, for example. So, yeah, it'll be interesting from that perspective. And also with defenders as well. Normally, historically, people pick for defenders attacking fullbacks like Trent Alexander-Arnold, for example, Andy Robertson in years gone by, whereas this season, like you say, for points for blocks and interceptions, players like perhaps, I know, James Tarkowski, who may not be basically defensive players in defensive teams might prove more popular and could end up outscoring strikers, really, especially if, say, I know, if Everton go to Man City and remarkably keep a clean sheet, and in that James Tarkowski makes 10 blocks, they could easily get double figures, whereas in the past you wouldn't probably consider that as an option. So it's added an extra layer. It's added different options for players to pick. So I think the changes that they've made are pretty good.
Remember, the code is VAPIHO to join the For Fox's Sake podcast FPL League. So that's one new addition. Now, the wild card, the chips, basically, the wild card, the free hit, the triple captain, and the bench boost, they all remain. They've got rid of the assistant manager, which was a bit of a fad last year. That's gone. The assistant manager's been sacked. Get away with you. But those wild cards, free hit, triple captain, and also the bench boost, we now have sets of 2. So before, we used to have just one, Maybe with the wild card, you get 2, one half of the season, and then for the second half, now you've got a set of 2 of each of those, and we'll go straight into it. Because again, for Fox 8 podcast, we're talking about 30-minute bite-sized podcasts. We're not talking an hour and a half, and I haven't got time to listen to that. But when it comes to these chips, it's going to dramatically change the way that you use these chips, isn't it? Because you've got 2 of them rather than 1.
It is, yeah. I mean, and ultimately, it's about people. It's about FPL want to do it to keep people interested, and you're going to get interested if you get points, basically. So I think that's why they're doing it, and I like the idea. So yeah, bench boost. Like I said earlier, you pick 11 players out your squad of 15 to get your points. But the bench boost gives you the option to, as the name suggests, your bench players get points as well. So all 15 of your players, when you use that bench boost chip, will get points. Like say, 2 wild cards, which is so wild card is where you can basically reset your team effectively, have unlimited transfers just for 1 week. So if you've suddenly racked up a load of injuries or suspensions or whatever, then the wild card is useful to have. Triple captain, so you have a captain which gets double points every week, but your triple captain gets triple points. Free hit is a little bit like a wild card in that you can change your team around, but then your team resets to what it was before you played that free hit chip. So that's just a one-off chip, really. So usually those sort of chips, well, certainly sort of like the free hit and the bench boost would tend to be used later on in the season when some teams play twice toward the double game week, or some teams don't play at all and some teams do. So but we'll get onto that later on in the season. But yeah, like I say, adds another layer, and gets people to think when they might use it. And I think I might be using 1 chip potentially first week.
Now, I'm on the same wavelength of you, and that's a dangerous thing. That's a dangerous wavelength to be on, Matt. But I am on the same wavelength. Let's get into it now, right? So if you knew about FPL, then you knew all that we've just spoke about. But we need to go through these things. We need to set the ground level. We need to set the base of where we are with knowledge on FPL. Now, I presume you're thinking about the bench boost on week 1, because you've got the bench boost again later on in the season. And I'm thinking it's a great way, first of all, to get to the top of the league, but also maybe, and I'm a big fan of using my wild card quite early as well. So I might use that wild card quite early, and then looking throughout most people might use their bench boost possibly on a double game week. But of course, double game weeks, it might not include every single team in the Premier League. It might only include a few. And of course, because you can't use 2 chips at the same time, it might be that you want to use your triple captain on that game week, possibly, instead of your bench boost. But am I roughly on the same wavelength as you there with the bench boost in game week 1?
Yeah, that's the plan. So the key thing about the bench boost is obviously you have all 15 players. So you want to be pretty confident that all 15 players that you pick are going to play in that first game week, because there's no point wasting that chip effectively if obviously we don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict the lineups, but so yeah, that is my plan. So to pick 2 goalkeepers that I think will start. Well, all 15 players really that I think will start. So yeah, that's the plan. I was thinking about doing it at the end of last season before they announced that everyone was basically going to be 2 bench boosts. But so yeah, I've never done it before on game week 1. I know people that have, and I do get the logic of the chips. I'm not bench boost for me is a bit. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. It feels like you have to like get your team ready just to play it, sort of thing. So I'm the sort of player that sort of, especially your backup keeper or your 5th defender that you pick tends to be someone cheap that doesn't play just to free up funds elsewhere. So I'm not a huge fan of it. So part of it as well is to sort of get it out of the way.
Now, if you are going to join our podcast league, VAPH VAPIHO. I know I was going to get that wrong. VAPIHO is the link. And the link to join our league and to join FPL, you can find that on X at FFS Pod. You can find it on Facebook. Type in for Fox 8 Podcast. If you want to email us, for fox8podcast@gmail.com about anything, you can do, and we can send you the link as well. Or you can just find it here on YouTube just below, and you can see obviously on the YouTube as well. On the live show, we can then just flash up on screen. Look at that, all these new tools. Very nice. Now let's get into some star names. Okay. Mo Salah was the best player in the game last year, really, by a long way. And I think he just hogged the captaincy. And I think most people will have him as captain probably on game week 1. But of course, there's all these new players because you got to remember this, the financial fair play means that the big clubs can spend money and no one else. So those teams, as we know in the Premier League, the teams in just below the top 4 or 5. So you're talking your Newcastles, your Aston Villas, etc. They can't spend any money now. They have spent quite a bit in the past. Let's get it right. But their best players are now moving to the so-called richest sides, and they are really. So you've got your abundance of players at your Manchester United. I know they had a horrible season last year. At your Arsenal, at your Liverpools especially. Let's just go for a few stars then. Mo Salah. Verts as well, who played well today, I hear, in the Community Shield. Obviously, we were too busy with Leicester, weren't we? You're looking at the likes of, let's just take Manchester United and Buemo. Of course, they got Sesko up front as well, Kuna. You're looking at Chelsea with Palmer, etc. We'll just say Palmer for now. And then with Newcastle with Isak, or maybe Liverpool with Isak, those possibly are the main stars, and Haaland as well. Let's not forget Haaland. Even though I think that last season lots of people didn't have him in the side. So those are the main stars. Out of those stars for you, who are the absolute musts that you need in your team?
Before I go on to the absolute must, I'll mention the absolute must not of who you just mentioned. That'll be Alexander Isak. Yeah, had a great season last season, but not been training with Newcastle. Future very much up in the air. Very unlikely to start game week 1. So I would definitely avoid picking Alexander Isak.
I get my pen and writing these notes down, by the way, right? Isak, I've got my team on a second screen. I'm just going to click off Isak. By the way, in future podcasts, in future FPL shows, we'll put up the league as well. So if you're joining our league, and we've got, I think we've got about 300 plus. So we'll have the league on screen and we'll have a rundown of the top 10. And then when we have different guests on, we'll show the teams as well. But yeah, Isak, he's not in my team. He's not in my team. Carry on, Matt.
Okay, so yeah, Mo Salah is in my team, and he's got the captain's armband at the moment. Like I say, didn't see their game today because we were at the King Power, but by all accounts, didn't have a great game. Did sky his penalty as well in the shootout as well, I believe. I've not seen that, but yeah, he is got the captain's armband at the moment. Florian Wirtz, who played well today, I believe, is very popular. Also Hugo Ekitike, who scored today. I think his ownership will probably go up after today. So I think of the 3 Liverpool attackers, obviously Liverpool start, kick things off on Friday. I think they're the 3 that will be most popular. You mentioned Cole Palmer as well. He's in my draft as well so far.
Crystal Palace at home on the opening day. Palace at home, who Community Shield winners, isn't it? It's not an easy game, but
no,
it would be a fixture that you might. It wouldn't be a fixture that you would maybe target for your side, but it wouldn't be one that you'd be afraid of, possibly.
No, and Chelsea's pre-season's been very strange in that they've not had one basically, and their season finished a few weeks ago winning the Club World Cup. I think they've only had one friendly. I think they played Bayer Leverkusen over the weekend.
Does that mean that are you for Chelsea at the start of the season, or do you think that's a disadvantage at the beginning, or is it a disadvantage maybe later on?
It's hard to say. It's never happened before, so they may still be fit, or they may, later on in the season, they may fall off, and similar to Man City as well. But so that's why I've only got one Chelsea player, and that is Cole Palmer. I know João Pedro is very popular as well as an FPL asset. But
I have him.
I've just gone with Palmer just because he's the first name on the team sheet at Chelsea. He's not, and he's on penalties, as is Mo, we believe, at Liverpool. So, yeah, so that's why I've gone Palmer. I did have João Pedro in a previous draft, but I've gone off him. But I think he's scored as well on recently as well for Chelsea. So very
Yeah,
popular, 7.5 million as well, which is good value.
I think he's good value. I like Pedro up top. Now, you mentioned penalties there, the P word, and penalties are all important in FPL, aren't they? Is there a legitimate reason, or is it a well-known tactic of going, do you know what, I'm just going to actually put every single penalty taker for a Premier League side in my side? Because nowadays with VAR, there's a lot of penalties in the Premier League. That's not a bad tactic.
Yeah, no, it's not. Obviously, there's no going. Well, we don't know every team's penalty taker really, so we know Mo for Liverpool will probably be taking penalties, and Cole Palmer as well. Bruno Fernandes, we suspect, will probably be taking penalties for Man United. Although Brian and Boom obviously took them at Brentford before his move. So, but yeah, penalty takers. If you're confident of who they are, they're who's going to take them, then yeah, certainly a good tactic to use. Yeah.
Now, Mbuemo is one. We'll just highlight the big name players who moved this season. I think Mbuemo is about 8 million midfield. Yeah, he's going to be a forward, isn't he, for Manchester United? I think I know they've got Arsenal at home on the opening day, but I think Mbuemo, he will score plenty for Manchester United because he's a Premier League player. We know he can score goals in the Premier League. And I think for FPL, as a midfielder, you get in a centre forward. And again, that's another tactic, isn't it? Trying to find a midfielder who's maybe out of position in the game. He's down as a midfielder, but actually he's a centre forward. So I've got Mbuemo down in my side. I think he's going to be very good this year.
Yeah, Brian and Matthias Cunha as well, similar. Again, a new Man United signing, signed from Wolves. I think he's similar. I can't remember the price for Cunha, but did very well last season. He's a midfielder this season. He was a striker last season, but in the game, but classed as a midfielder this season. So I've not actually got any Man United players in my draft, just because of their tough fixtures. Start off with Arsenal. Just have a look who else they've got. Sorry, but I think they play Liverpool quite early on. Who they got? Sorry, so yeah, start off with Arsenal, Fulham away, Burnley at home's a nice game. Then the Manchester derby, and Chelsea at home. So yeah, they're the first six. Then yeah, Liverpool's in game week 8, I believe. So yeah, they do have some nice fixtures in there, though. They do have Burnley at home and Sunderland at home as well. So quite early on. So, but yeah, I think it's a bit unknown with Man United for me at the moment. Anyway, obviously, I'd such a poor season last season. Yeah, and because of their tough start, for me, I've not got any in, but that could easily change.
Right. In the last part of the show, let's go through game week 1. Now, myself, I'm going to go with my team. So this is my team out there, everybody. So you can laugh. You can well, yeah. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. But here we go. It's a little bit awkward because obviously you think that people might actually just kind of like nick your team, but never mind. We'll go with mine. Now in goal, I've got Dubravka might move. I'm not too sure on the goalkeeper. We'll start with the goalkeeper. And we'll move into the back line. I've got Out Nori for Manchester City. They've got Wolves away. Concert for Villa, home against Newcastle. And I'm going to go with De Cupra for Brighton, who apparently is on set plays as well. Might be penalty taker. Gets forward a bit. He got Fulham at home. I think he might be a good player this season. Midfield, I've got Wirtz, who's going to be in there every week. I've got him as captain for Liverpool.
Oh, wow, okay.
I've got Mo Salah as well. So I've got Wirtz, Salah, Palmer for Chelsea. I've got Mbuemo and I've got Ndiaye as well for Everton. I think he's a bit of value as well. And then up front, I've got João Pedro along with Wood. I'm debating whether to go with Wood for Forest or with Beto for Everton. I'm not entirely sure, though. He looked back to the old Beto in the preseason game against Claudio Ranieri's Roma. So that is my side. It's quite midfield heavy.
Yeah, it's a very, very strong midfield. Absolutely, yeah. I like that you've got Salah and Wirtz in there. Yeah, and Wirtz captain. I think many will have Burts, but whether they captain or not him or not, I'm not too sure. But I think that's a very good, strong, certainly midfield. I've also got some of those names. I've also got Dubravka in my team, currently on the bench though. But obviously, if I'm bench boosting that's not a problem. But yeah, no good side. Remind me of your midfielders again. Sorry, Salah.
At the midfield, Salah, Palmer, Ndai, and Mbeumo. The Mbeumo who you didn't like.
Mbeumo's a fine pick, not a problem at all. But I've also got an Everton midfielder in my team, which I'll
go ahead with your team then.
So my team, my starting team at the moment is Kelleher, the Brentford goalkeeper, although he's got a flag next to his name, so I'll have to look into why that is. My three defenders, Gabriel is a points machine as a defender, threat from set pieces as well. Wan-Bissaka for West Ham away at Sunderland. He's playing them more as a wing back, so I think he can get some attacking returns. I think he got some attacking returns at the end of last season as well. And Van der Ven for Tottenham, who've got Burnley at home, so hopefully that's a nice clean sheet. And Van der Ven only 4.5 million. I know he's quite injury prone, but I think that's good value for him. My five midfielders are Cole Palmer, like you, and Mo Salah, where Mo's my captain. I've also got Mohamed Kudus, another Spurs player, because again, Burnley at home, and I think 6.5 million, I believe he is. I think that's good value. I've got Morgan Rogers, who I had last season. I think he was in a lot of teams, a lot of managers' teams last season. He was he's gone up in price this season, but he's only 7 million, I think, at home to Newcastle. Sorry, I think with Newcastle all that's gone on there, Villa's strong home record, I think Villa could do them over. And my Everton midfielder is Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. He's just signed from Chelsea, and £5 million, very good value for money. Started the friendly against Roma at the weekend on set pieces as well, I believe he was, which might surprise Leicester fans. But on set pieces, so yeah, he's in my team. With a friendly away, a fixture, away at Leeds. And my two strikers, Ollie Watkins, again for the same reason I picked Rodgers, because I think Villa could score a hatful against Newcastle, and Jared Bowen, who this season is classed as a striker rather than a midfielder. So in FPL, so again away at Sunderland. And then my bench, if I'm looking to bench boost, is Dubravka. I've also got Estev, the Burnley defender, as well. So it's strange. I've got two.
I.
Yeah, I've got two Burnley defenders and two Palace players as well playing against each other. So yeah, that will be interesting. I've got Munoz, the Crystal Palace wing back who did well last season, and Strand Larsen, the Wolves striker. Against Man City, who again could be maybe caught cold with their lack of pre-season. So yeah, that's my team as it stands. Although at the time of recording at 8:30 on a Sunday, probably will change a little bit between now and the 6:30 deadline on Friday.
Don't forget the league code is VAPIHO to join our league. Now, final part of the podcast, we've got Matt, the star man on the FPL show, finished 186th out of 11 million a few years ago. So the man in the know, what is your one tip for this year? Maybe it's a dark horse in terms of a player, or maybe a tip with the now wild cards, or should I say the chips that you can have two of, one at the first half of the season, second half of the season for the next. So what's the one Matt Elliott tip, number 186 out of 11 million, that you would say to viewers of the FPL show?
No pressure, Pete. So I would say try and plan ahead. I personally look at the fixtures 2 or 3 weeks ahead and try and plan that way. That was my secret, really, in when I did well. It's also been my downfall as well. But yeah, try and look at the fixtures on the app. There's something called the fixture difficulty rating, which has all the teams' fixtures, and you can scroll across to see who may or may not have nice fixtures coming up. So I mentioned Newcastle, for example. They've got Villa away, then Liverpool at home, first 2 games. So probably a team to avoid, for example. So yeah, try and plan ahead. In terms of a player to look out for, it depends what you're looking for. But if you're looking for this is a bit left field really, but
we like that.
But I'm not going to say he's suddenly going to set the league alight or anything. But if you're looking for a cheap budget midfielder, there's a midfielder that plays for Fulham called Josh King, not the Josh King that used to play for Watford. 4.5 million. Been playing in pre-season as a number 10 and been scoring goals. So and only 4.5 million pounds. So if you need to free up funds, certainly want to look at. That would be my very wild pick, but not that I've got in my team, but one I've looked at.
No, that's what we want. We want a wild, not a wild card, obviously, but we want a wild selection. 186th out of 11 million. You heard it here first. Josh King, he's going to be the Premier League Player of the Year, and he's going to score 300 points in FPL. We will see. Anyway, that's it for the first FPL show of the season. Great to have you on, Matt, on the back, of course, of a Leicester win. But hopefully there'll be Leicester players in the FPL next year. But for now, what we want people to join our league. And the league code, once again, is VAPIHO. To join the league, if you head to X at FFS Pod, you'll find the links on there. You'll find the links below this very video you can see on YouTube, the FPL show, part of the For Fox 8 podcast network. You can find it also on Instagram as well, on Facebook, For Fox 8 podcast. Type that in wherever you are, and you will find us, and you will find the league. The FPL starts this Friday with Liverpool against Bournemouth, I think. 6:30 deadline.
6:30 deadline, yeah. So that's another key thing. Do not miss the deadlines, yeah. So it's always an hour and a half before the first game kicks off. So yeah, that's another key tip, especially if you're new to it.
Brilliant. Well, that's the first FPL show on the For Fox 8 podcast network. There's going to be plenty more. You'll hear plenty more from me. You hear plenty more from Matt as well on all things FPL, also on all things Leicester. But for now, for the FPL show, join the league. Tell your friends as well. Everyone can join. You don't have to just be a listener or a viewer of For Fox 8 podcast. You can join. Anyone can join, even if they're not a Leicester fan. Get them all involved with the FPL.